Welcome to the Completely Yoked podcast with Little Bit Bougie and Mr. Radio 100. Real talk, real life. Good morning, good afternoon, good night for whatever part of the world that you're in. Welcome to Completely Yoked, Real Talk, Real Life. I, myself, Mr. Radio 100, and of course, my wonderful co-host, Little Bit Bougie, heart and soul of Completely Yoked. She puts all of this stuff together. We have the interview of this. This is an important interview because this is the Olympics that we're talking about here. This is major, and then we have a Olympic champion in our midst right now. And not only is she Olympic, she has so many other things, but you'll find all of that out as we go along. And I would like to welcome Nia Abdallah.
Hey, thank
welcome
you.
to Completely Yoked. We're so glad to have you here.
I'm so glad
She's
to
my
be here.
hero.
Yeah, thank you
I'm
so
just
much.
excited. I'm so excited right now.
Yeah.
She's excited. She's super excited. So don't pay her no mind. But we're ready to go. Little bit. You've done the research. So once again, let's go with it. Where do we start? Can we start off with the wine? No. Let's start off with the Olympic stuff first, then we'll talk about the wine.
No, first I want to be a fan, okay?
Okay.
Because I wanted to call this Such a Time as This because it's a big moment right now. We have Harris, and I am a little bit bougie, and I am with her. We have her running for president. We have the Olympics going on, and who gets to sit down and say that they can actually talk to someone that's been in the Olympics, in the Hall of Fame? And I myself must honestly say, I was just really excited. And I said, I think she's a swimmer. Nope. Taekwondo. I'm so impressed. That excited me so much because I'm a retired officer. So I was like, yeah. So my questions for you, Nia, how did it feel to when you knew you were going to the Olympics? What's that process like?
So it's crazy because the Taekwondo part of it did not feel as grand as I now know it is. And the reason why is in order to become an Olympian, there's so many tournaments and so many phases that you have to go through where you have to qualify your country, you have to qualify yourself. So there's a lot of tournaments going up. So when they say it's every 4 years, right when this Olympics ends, the next cycle of becoming an Olympian starts. And so I had been working towards this in different tournaments and doing that. So the Olympics just felt like it didn't feel like the end. And I feel like that's why I was successful at the Olympics, because Olympic trials felt like that was just the next step to the ultimate goal. Fun fact about me, at 4 years old, I told my mom I wanted to win the Olympics. And so it was always a goal of mine. And so the actual trial and becoming an Olympian, I don't even think that really set in for me because I wasn't done at that point. It was like, okay, yeah, I made this team, but now I got to go and put in the work and get back to training and get out there so I can go win a medal.
So how old were you when you started Taekwondo? Because I know my son is a black belt and we started him off at 2 and 3.
So I actually am a late person when it comes to Taekwondo. I started at 9 years old. My mom calls it the after school program that never ended. I was into the Power Rangers and Karate Kid and Ninja Turtles and all, the era of all the martial arts. I was into that, and I begged my mom. I was real little. When I was 9, I looked like probably a 6-year-old. I was tiny. I was a little kid. And so my mom was getting married to my stepfather at the time. And we convinced her that it was going to teach me discipline and I was going to be the grasshopper and the little ninja that they tell you on TV. And so we convinced her for the summer program, and day one, I fell in love. I fell in love with the sport. I did all kinds of sports because, like I said, at 4 years old, I said I wanted to win the Olympics. And so my mom put me in everything. I've done just about every sport that you can think of. But it was magic when I walked in that studio for the first day. It felt like home. It felt like the place I was going to be. Little did I know when that little 4-year-old had a dream to become an Olympian, that's when Taekwondo started its Olympic journey, where it was a test event in the 88 Olympics. So we both started our dream together. I didn't know that at the time, but it just, all the stars aligned where we started that dream together, and it kind of came together once I started that sport.
I mean, to say it at 4 years old, like, I'm going to be in the Olympics, that is the ultimate speaking it into existence. And it's not like you half stepped on this because you did it. You're inducted in the Hall of Fame. That's huge. And like right now with like women athletes, you know, I watch a lot of documentaries, and I watch one about the WNBA. And so I was like really like taken back, like, wow, you know, they don't get a lot of press. They don't get a lot of whatever. Women's soccer is the same thing. And we dominate in those sports. Like, it's a good show. It's competitive. You've got everything that you would have if it was just the NBA or men's soccer or football or whatever they want to call it. But to see women take on these sports that people want to say, those are guy sports. So when you see how the females, I would say that they're picking up momentum. They're starting to get noticed. What would you say would be something that you feel needs to happen in order to put the females at the equal level of everyone else?
I mean, I think we've seen the path before. It's the same way how before us we were segregated, and so there was just black people coming into it, and black people didn't get the Negro League in baseball, didn't get the same looks as the major leagues. And it just took people falling in love with the characters of sports. I feel like in sports, we're a character for people. We're somebody that people want to root for. They want to see our journey. And the more that they get to see more women's journeys, the sacrifices they're making, you know, the ups and downs of it, being able to kind of see that journey, I think we'll fall in love with it. If you think about people that love sports, they love people in sports. They don't just love basketball. They love Kobe. They love Michael Jordan. They love LeBron James. They love that story. They love Serena. We didn't fall in love with tennis. We fell in love with Serena. We didn't fall in love with golf. We fell in love with Tiger Woods. And so once we start getting those stories out there and people actually like understanding these people as people, I think it will start taking this momentum. But it's just going to take time. The league is still, all those leagues are still super young. You got to think, you know, how long it's been since women were able to do that. Well, we have Title IX is only about 50 years old. And so we're starting from 50 years old. Like, we're only 50 years old, where male leagues are hundreds of years old. And so I think we're in a better place than male sports were at 50 years old. Just because we have the recognition and the technology now. But I think we're in a good path. I just think more people just need to start seeing them as people and understanding the story and following the stories, and you'll fall in love with people.
Yeah, the documentary that I watched, and it was actually on Tubi, it was a great doc. It was a well put together documentary. You got to see their inside of their lives and the struggles, and they have families too, you know, but they may make $100,000 and they're doing all this and have to pay for their travel, and everything comes out of their pocket. Whereas you look at the men, and one thing I did see in the documentary, which I was like, wow, LeBron James, and then you have the Kobe Bryants, and you have like, you know, Steph Curry. They are putting their money up because they're like, they could get on the court with a man and hold their own. They should be making more than this. They should not be struggling, but they're playing every night. They're traveling, doing all that, and they're having to pay for it. And so to see how finally they're stepping up and they're saying, look, it's not right. And it is entertaining, and people do love them. They have a story. I was so touched. My cousin is a coach of a senior, and they're really good. When he came back, the school really was struggling, and he's got them. They're competitors now, really big ones. And I sent him that documentary because I felt like it was so important to show that to his senior girls, so they'll know, like, if this is a path you want to take, this is kind of where it's at right now. So you got to go and know that you're going to make some sacrifices. And so with your story, being in the Hall of Fame, Taekwondo, and you are like, to see you, I was like, all I can see, oh, just so sweet and just this really nice person. Wouldn't have never thought that you could like karate chop me real quick. Without it, you don't look like that at all. You are definitely a surprise. And so when you went and that you won, right? They called your name. and you won. What was that feeling like? Like, did you want to cry? Did you cry? Or were you like, duh?
So it was actually a feeling that most people don't realize. I was very unhappy with the silver medal. One thing that people don't really realize, because TV kind of cuts it here and there, we literally like have the ring, we fight, you go down the stairs. Right when you go down the stairs to go to the back, interview. How do you feel? What has happened? What just happened? Whatever. You go back in the back, change clothes, and then you come back out, and you come back out to the arena, and you get on the podium. So this is a matter of 30 minutes after you've just lost the biggest fight of your life. I always tell people, when you watch the Olympics, look at second place. They're the most unhappy person on the podium, because first place is, of course, happy because they won. Third place is happy that they made it to the podium. The second place just lost. And so they're reminding of just losing. So I wasn't happy. I actually had a moment by myself and just bawled my eyes out right before. I hate those pictures of me on the podium, because I know that I was just crying. Like, I could see the tears behind my own eyes, because I knew what I felt like in that moment. It took me a while. Like, even when I got home, people would be like, congratulations, you won. And I'm all like, no, I didn't. I lost. Like, I would tell people I lost all the time. Like, in my brain, I did not do what I came to do. And it took me a while to understand what I did, like what I actually did, being the youngest to do it, being the only silver medal, even to this day, 20 years later, I'm the only female silver medalist in USA Taekwondo since it's been a official Olympic sport. Still to this day, being the first Black, paving the way for other Black kids. There's an Olympian now that said when he was younger. He's at the Olympics now. He said when he was younger, he saw me fight, and that's what sparked his vision to be an Olympian. I didn't recognize that in the moment. In the moment, I was upset. I thought I lost. I thought I disappointed the world. I didn't realize what this moment meant until much, much later.
So I did see your pictures, and I was like, wow, I know that look, because I was a competitive person, and I was put in competitions a lot. And so I definitely was like, oh, I know that feeling. But I was still so proud, because I had never seen a Black female doing Taekwondo, karate, anything like that in the Olympics. All I saw was gymnastics, basketball, and maybe some track and field. Yeah, definitely track. And that's it. You opened the doors for me. Like, I was just compelled by your story. I was excited and I was honored. I was like, wow, like, this is what people need to know, especially little brown girls who they like Taekwondo, they like karate, but they don't have like that role model. And the fact that you can be that is, for me, I look at it as like, it's a big responsibility, but it's also a much needed responsibility. And so you word well, you are very open, and you're just very humble, because I don't know if I could be that humble. I'd be like Flavor Flav. It would be on my neck all day.
That's funny. A lot of people say that, and I'm just like, I don't even think to. I forget to show people. Like, I've known people for years, and I won't tell them I'm an Olympic medalist. Like, they don't even know. It's behind me now. Like, I keep my medal now back there. That's about as much as I display it. Like, I won't forget to tell people, and they're like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I'm like, I don't know. How does that come up in conversation? Like, good afternoon. The weather's nice. I'm an Olympian. Like, I don't know how to say that in conversation. And if it doesn't come up, like, Olympic time, it's probably the time where most people find out. But they've known me for 4 years before that, without knowing, because I never said anything.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Going back just to, before the actual pain of, and I understand exactly where you're coming from as far as not being able to do exactly what you want to do when you actually stepped in there. What was the initial butterflies like? Were there butterflies when you first got there, when you got to the actual event? What was that like? Just to see all the competition, to see everything that's going on. What was your feeling at that time?
So I like to look at Taekwondo or the Olympics in two different realms. There was two different things happening at the same time for me. The tournament, Olympics, that part of it, the Taekwondo side of it, all the things that with Taekwondo and sponsorship and all that stuff I didn't get nervous about that. Like, it felt like the next tournament. Like, it felt like the difference between going to a state tournament to a national tournament. Like, it was the next step. All that whole packet, I didn't get nervous. When they told me that, because normally in Taekwondo, you have like multiple rings, so like everybody's not watching it. But they told me it was gonna be one ring and millions of people were gonna be watching me, that hyped me up. I was all like, I can't lose now. Like, everybody's watching just my fight. Oh, I gotta win. Like, and so that part didn't do that. But then you have this other side, this 20-year-old that's now seeing people like Cynthia Cooper and Tamika Catchings and Marion Jones and the people that she's looked up to. Now my teammates, I'm sitting here in the Olympic Village, sitting next to Venus and Serena, sitting next to LeBron James. Like, that part of me was a whirlwind, because it went from, like, I really realized that I had made it to the point that I had watched this whole time. Like, I had been watching these people and they were superhuman to me. Like, the Serena Williams was superhuman to me, but now she's my teammate. Like, now you're saying I'm equal to her as far as we're both Olympians. That was a surreal feeling to, like, at 20 years old, to be like, oh, I'm going to the basketball game. Tamika Catchings said, come on and go on the bus with me, because we're teammates now. Like, and so that part was a totally different kind of side of it that was like, okay, this is amazing. This is a dream. This is the dream side of it. And then the other side of it was like, okay, I got business to take care of. Like, I got work to do on the Taekwondo side of it.
Well, you have a passion and it shows. What would you say right now to like little girls that they love karate and they love the workout, they love the competitiveness, they feel like they could do it, but how would they go about it? Because it's not like you've done this from the age of 9, so it's not like it's just, oh, okay, great, well, we're just gonna put you together. There's levels to it. So What would you say to them if they were like coming to you and saying, I want to be you?
Well, so I actually have a motto for that. I tell people, and this is not just in sport, this is my motto in life. I feel like every successful person has followed this motto, and I call it live like a champion through Bacho. And so the background of Bacho is, in Taekwondo, if you've ever watched a match, we yell. And in the 90s, it was kind of funny to say Bacho instead of just doing a regular yell. For life, I said that I was going to use that Bacho. And so what Bacho stands for is believe, associate, choose, hone, and obtain. And so the steps of becoming, successful in anything, first you got to believe that you can do it. You got to believe that you don't even have to know what it is. You have to believe that you can be above excellent in something. Like, everybody has that in them, but you got to believe that you can. Like, everybody doesn't believe that they can be more than average. That's why most people are average, but you got to believe that you can be more than average. Then you have to associate that thing. So first you're believing, you don't have to know it. Then you got to find what that thing is. What is that thing when you wake up in the morning that you will do? You'll do when you're tired, you'll do when you're sick. What's that thing that's in you? It doesn't have to be a tangible sport. It could be, when I wake up, I always want to boss somebody around. Like, I always want to do that. When I wake up, I always want to organize. Like, I want to be an organizer. Like, any of those things that, like, in your gut that you would do for free, that's your thing that you can be a champion in, because it comes natural to you. And then next is C, you choose. This is the part where we lose people. We got a lot of people that believe they can be great, and they find that thing that they can be great in, but they don't choose to do the work. You have to choose to do the work. That's the part that grit comes. That's the part that when I was 11 years old, running in the rain, when my friend wants to go to a party, instead of partying, I got to go train. Or when I want to eat a piece of cake, but I can't because I got to make weight. Those things, making those sacrifices, you got to choose to do those sacrifices. And then third is H, you got to hone in. You got to hone into that focus thing. Even though I said you're associating, a lot of times we have multiple things that we're great at, that we could be champions in. And you can be champions in all of them, but you can't do them all at the same time. And so there comes a point where after you've associated and you're starting to do the work, where you got to really hone in on what that means. And that's with everything. That's not just going to the gym and training, but what do you eat? How do you sleep? Who do you hang around? What's coming in, or what are you reading? All that things you have to hone in, and everything that you do in every part of your life has to be connected to that dream. Everything. How you wear your nails, what clothes you wear, who you hang out with, All of that has to be connected to it. And then the last one is another one that gets people, is people do all that work, but when they get there, they freeze. And so you got to go grab it, like when it's your moment. The 2004 Olympics, nobody expected me to do anything. They thought I was going to lose my first fight. It was not expected for me to do anything. Winning my first fight was a thing that was a great thing in itself. But I was ready to go grab that medal. And so you have to have that fortitude in you to be like, I'm going to obtain it. So I tell people to live like a champion through Bacho. And those are the steps. Like, they're the steps no matter what. And I always say, even with sports, it might not even be sports. If you want to be the best broadcaster in the world, you got to do those steps. Like, you have to go through every single one of those steps. If you want to be the best teacher in the world, you got to go through them steps. It's just a path to being successful.
And so I know you do like motivational speaking, and you have the passion, and like when you're doing something great that you love, you have the understanding that it's not just about you, it's bigger than you. And you took on a platform and a lot of weight on with that platform, and you carried it well. The fact that you've accomplished so much and you're so young is impressive. But that's when you know you're serious, because you do make a lot of sacrifices. And so with being where you are right now, everything that's going on in the world right now, where do you see yourself in like the next 3 to 5 years? Like what within the sport, or maybe not, do you see yourself doing in 5 years?
I've always said that the Olympics was just one part of my full journey. And so now I'm in a space where it's time to use what happened with me in the Olympics and that whole path to go to my next space. And so that's why I'm in the process of writing my book. I have a day here in Houston. September 14th is Nia Day here in Houston. And so that is the goal for my book. I want to publish it next year, September 14th. That way we release it on that day. We release it on Nia Day. But I want to do other things that kind of go to the next level. I want to speak more, get back to doing speaking engagements, and really using my book as a catalyst to helping people understand my story and the purpose and how it can help them in their future. But then also really helping, now that I'm an older Olympian, like in the Olympic worlds, I'm an older Olympian. I want to make sure that the people that come behind me have kind of things to help them sustain themselves, whether it's helping them find paths to their jobs or getting degrees, whether it's helping people find peace. People laugh on me, I'm auntie on TikTok, because I tell people I'm a rich auntie, but that doesn't mean money. It also means money, but it doesn't just mean money. I'm rich in all kinds of things. And so I try to teach people how to be rich aunties in their life. Be rich in health, be rich in spirit, be rich in your social life, be rich in your finances, be rich in all the aspects of your life, be rich in peace. So I try to live this rich auntie life where you're fully at peace, whether you're in a relationship, not in a relationship, whether you're male or female, anything, you're living that rich auntie life. And so that's where I've been kind of pushing. That's how I've gotten to kind of some of my other things that I have gotten into, whether it's the wine pairing classes or my gardening or the things that I've done. It's me trying to live that rich auntie life and kind of utilizing the things that I learned from becoming successful in sport, so I can be just successful in life.
So, Nia, like in your personal life right now, I know you got the book and you're ready to do some more speaking engagements and things like that, but you got a special talent and I'm going to support it. And it is your wine. That is what made me like instantly start following you on Instagram. On TikTok, because I had never met a female talking about pairing wine, because I really do love wine, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't know about it, and I try to watch tutorials and try to learn, like, okay, so this wine would be good with this. What made you go that route? Is it a passion of yours? Do you like really just enjoy it, or is it something that you see like that's a niche that hasn't been touched in our community?
So it's a little bit of all of that. So when I retired from sport at 28 years old, I said that I wanted to do two things. I wanted to learn how to golf, and I wanted to learn about wine. I didn't know about pairing or anything. I just wanted to learn. And my reasoning behind that was I knew that those are two areas that people do business deals with in a kind of natural state. And so I started going, learning a little bit about golf, and then I started going to vineyards and stuff, learning more about wine. I liked wine more than I liked golf. I still do a little bit of both of them. But as I started going into kind of the spaces of wine, it's like a whole community. As I started going into those spaces, I realized that there wasn't a lot that looked like me. And I've been in a space like that where there's not a lot that look like me. And I feel like a lot of minorities, specifically Black people, are missing out on opportunities to network and to make business deals because they just don't know about that space. And really, really quickly, I learned that the different words that I hear, like legs and like the body, I always thought it was a super complicated thing, and it's not. It's super simple to think. So I was just like, I wonder if I start teaching people how, like specifically minorities, about wine pairing. Like, why do we wine pair? What are these different terms? Because if they know, you only need to know the base level of wine pairing to be able to be in that space and be competent enough to do business there. And so that's what I wanted. I wanted us to be competent enough. And so I created what's called Bougie Wines. And that's my company where I do wine pairing. I do wine pairing parties where you pay me a fee, and I bring in the wine, and I talk to the person that's in charge of the party and really understand what their food is, so I can bring the proper wines to teach people how to pair. And so we learn about the legs of the wine and the body of the wine, and why does it have a cork versus not, or what's the wine made of, and these different information. The more that I do it, the more I learn more about wine. And so I've gotten kind of a lot of knowledge about kind of the different things. And so now when I eat, I try to like practice different pairings and understand the different pairings, understanding why I like South African wines and Italian wines versus California wines. Why do I like these things from different regions? And all of that pushed me into going into gardening. Because when I understood wine, I understood that it mattered about what they actually put in the soil. Like, people are actually putting certain things in the soil to make certain wines. And so I started my garden for that. And, the grocery stores got expensive. So I was like, I'm just going to start throwing some food in there. And now I have over 22 herbs, vegetables, and fruits in my garden. And actually started growing grapes, where I'm going to attempt to make my own wine coming next year. So once these grapes are there, I'm gonna make my first batch. But I really want to play with different flavors and really figure out how I can take the flavors of what traditionally Black people use, whether it's barbecue or soul food. And we don't never have pairings for that. What pairs well with soul food, with oxtails? What pairs well with a rack of ribs off the barbecue pit? We don't have those conversations. And so I'm trying to fit in, what traditionally we have and how we can pair those and still have this conversation in the same setting, but knowing a little bit more about different foods that we can pair it with.
You hit my sweet spot, honey, because it's called bougie wine. Well, I'm a little bit bougie, you know what I'm saying? This is heavy set.
Yes.
You had me at oxtails. You had me at oxtails. You said, "Oh, wait, pale wine with oxtails." Let's go. Let's get it. Yeah. You had me.
Funny.
Oh, my heart. Okay.
And the funny part is, I don't even eat oxtails.
Like, I saw your grapes. She said, I don't eat them, but I know a lot of people eat them.
I know a lot of us do. No, my parents do, my family do, like a lot of us do. And so I thought about it, like, what do we pair with oxtails? Like, do we have to drink Kool-Aid with it? If we can drink Kool-Aid with it, I think we can drink wine with it. They're in the same family of things.
I have not tried Kool-Aid with oxtails. I have not tried Kool-Aid with oxtails. Check. Okay.
I don't eat oxtail, but I know they're expensive, so therefore I know that you will buy some real expensive wine. Okay. So yes, ma'am. That's gonna be $100 bottle.
I got some oxtail.
That's what I like. I love your garden. I saw your grapes. They're beautiful, by the way. My grandmother grew grapes, and she made her own jams and things like that. And we grew them on the side of the house, and they were amazing. And it's like the pairing of wine is something that I've always wanted to learn to do. Because I do feel like, so I'm Monica, but I'm AKA a little bit bougie. It burns me to no end when I see people buy box wine.
Oh man, it drives me nuts.
Not the box wine.
It drives me nuts.
I get angry, and it's not even my bucket. You know, it's not my battle. It's not my business. I'm not paying for it, but I just feel so offended. I'm like,
I feel like that about Shutter Home too, to be fair.
What is your favorite wine right now that's in the stores, or do you find it kind of boring and they all kind of start to like mesh together?
So I don't have necessarily a favorite wine, but a favorite wine category. So I love Rieslings. And so Rieslings are, I call them kind of the entryway to real wine. And so most people get the Moscatos, which I love Moscatos. Moscato, if you like a good Moscato, you want the sweetest Moscato, Moscato d'Ace for the people. If you've never tried wine and you don't like alcohol at all, try the Moscato d'Ace. That's a good starter wine. But if you want to get into really like understanding the flavors and the robustness, Rieslings are a good step outside in the white wine area. So it's a little bit sweet, but they have from like sweet Rieslings to like a drier one. So you can go through the whole like gambit of Rieslings to get your palate to the drier wines. And so I tend to do a Riesling because it's super crisp, and I tend to eat a lot of seafood, and seafood and Rieslings are a great pair together. So it really just, what people is not, I don't want to tell you to eat this kind of wine because your diet is not the same as mine. And so I drink certain wines because of the way that I eat. If you eat a lot more meat, or like beef, or you eat a lot more pork, there are other wines that fit. I eat a lot of pasta and seafood. So Rieslings are perfect for me. But I think if I ate other things, my wine taste would change.
Me and Bougie kind of have the same kind of taste when it comes to certain wines, and we're both into the red wines, kind of full-bodied, not too dry, and not too sweet either. What is your recommendation on the red wine?
That's hard. It really depends on what you're going to eat. That's the thing about the pairing. It really is. It's so specific to what you're going to eat, the sides you're going to have with it. Of course, you can go with a good Pinot, but like you really just have to understand. It's kind of like how perfumes or colognes are. Like I can tell you all day this one smells good, but it might not smell good on you. Like it has to go with. That's what I love about it. Yeah, that's what I love about wine is it's so unique to me and my palate. And the journey to finding what I like is part of being a wine person. Like it's not, being a wine person is not because you just drink wine. Being a wine person is because you're taking the time to figure out what wines fit well. And it matters what region. Like I said, I like South African wines. I didn't know I liked South African wines until I noticed that I kept ordering South African wines. If I did a flight, the one that I liked the best was South African wines. But what I learned was it's all about, because in South Africa, the way that they grow their wines and the climate that's there, it has a unique taste to it. California's wines have a unique taste, Italy wines from around the world. So you'll find that you'll like different types of wine from the same region. So I might do a red wine and a white wine. If I did a flight and there was only one South African wine in the white and one South African wine in the red, I probably would pick it for both because I like that. The way, whatever the climate does to the wine, I like it. And so it's such a journey, and it's such an individual journey that like, the only one that I would suggest is that Moscato because it's just sweet. Like it suggesting that. But if you're really trying to understand your palate, it's really a journey of tasting different wines. I tell people all the time, if there's a flight at the restaurant, try it. Flights are the perfect way to learn about wines.
I definitely started my wine journey probably when I hit 40. Because I'm not a person, I did my 20s and I did it justice. So now it just became more like wine for me. I love to smell it. I love to sit there and see how full it is, swirl around my glass. And it really is a journey because, of course, you start off with, let me get something sweet because you don't know what you're doing. But I just really got up into it because it was so soothing. I love the process of it. I love watching it on TV when they are, having little cook shows and they're talking about the wine. And I started to realize, like, there wasn't a lot of people that were Black that really was off into wine like I was. And so now that my son and my nephew, they're in their mid-20s, we talk about wine. We will come together and we will have probably 10 bottles of wine, and we just smell them and taste them, and just really like, what does this taste good with? Because I have a Mogan David, it's Concord. I love it with a good piece of steak. It makes the steak just like pop. It's amazing. But when I learned about wine, I also started to learn about how the food had to be prepared. I don't need a well-done steak with some wine. It ain't gonna work. So I would, and even though I wouldn't just sit back and drink a dry wine, I noticed that dry wine helps if I'm eating something sweet, because I really don't like something like just, I could do without desserts, but if I'm gonna have it, that white wine cuts that sweetness that will probably like make me like, I don't want this anymore, it ain't good. It helps. But now just sitting back drinking some dry wine, I do have to have like something with it. It's like when you take a medicine, you like, let me hold my nose and take it back. But it is a journey, and it's a self journey. And it was some wines that I purchased that I was like, man, I know exactly what I was going through when I bought this wine that made me feel like Nia Abdallah, because I was going through it.
Yeah.
So I was like, give me the cheap one. But and I do know, like, I'm not a girl like Zinfandels and Moscatos, like, that's fine. Like I'll buy it and I'll have a glass or so, but it's just not what I crave when I get a wine. And so I definitely am looking forward to, just if you're teaching classes, that's something I definitely will sign up for, because I love to entertain, and that would be something that for me that would just elevate my dinner, because I'm so into wine. And sometimes I feel like I'm a wine cheerleader, and I think they may look at me like, she need to go to AA, because I'm like, no, it is really good. It's really good.
A whole journey.
Try it with this.
It's a whole journey.
It is. It's a journey, and it's a beautiful.
I didn't really get to do as much wine tasting as you did, but I went to, there's a store here in, I don't know if they have one in Houston, but I went to Total Wine and More. Mm-hmm. And then I would go and I would do the wine tastings there. They would do the little competitions. I would win. They invite me back. So each and every time I go back, I win each time, and then I get to taste free wine. And it was every other weekend. I did that for 8 months. And I got really good with the reds. I got pretty halfway decent with the whites. The whites wasn't really my thing. I tried some of the Moscatos. I tried a few of the other ones, but I don't know why. I guess they were trying to be ultra bougie. They weren't really trying to pair it with food. They were trying to do it with cheese. And I'm just like, okay, I get it. I guess I don't know whether the cheese was a thing of trying to bring more flavor to the cheese, or the cheese was supposed to do something to the palate to make you appreciate the wine more.
So
is there any reason?
There's a reason why, and it shouldn't be just cheese. It should be a charcuterie board is a perfect. People laugh because charcuterie boards are basically just they're basically just Lunchables for adults. But I loved Lunchables as a kid, so I still love them now. As adults, apparently. But the reason why there's supposed to be a variety of, so a lot of people are just putting like their favorite cheese and meat, but you're supposed to have different types of cheese, whether it's texture, whether it's flavoring. You should have some like cheese that has something sweet in it, something that's salty. Same thing with the meats, different textures, different flavoring. And then you're supposed to have other things like jams, honey, olives, nuts. Notice that those are different types of flavor. There are different types of flavor that are on the back tones of regular food. So, like, you have foods that are nutty. You have foods that have like a briny taste to it. So you're supposed to that's supposed to help introduce your palate to the flavor combination. So if you see, I had this wine, and when I ate something briny with it, like an olive, it tasted better when it made the olive taste better. Now you know if you have a briny food, that wine goes well with briny foods. So it's supposed to help you learn kind of profiles in a smaller, because you can't eat 7 meals to know that, but you can eat 7 little things. So like a cheese that is like more salty, like a super sharp cheddar, You know that if things have a super sharp thing to flavor profile to it, it's good with this wine, or it's horrible with this wine. So that's how you're learning the different flavor profiles and trying to kind of put that in your Rolodex in your head. So when you go to restaurants now, I don't necessarily need to ask somebody. I can look at I can see like, oh, I want to eat this lamb and it has mushrooms and it has a risotto and it has this kind of vegetable with it. Oh, okay, let me look at the wines. Okay, this Riesling, that's probably good with it because it's a drier one. Oh, this Chardonnay is probably good. Like, I can know according to what I'm eating because I've learned by using charcuterie boards. So it's kind of teaching your palate of the different flavor profiles, and you're supposed to be sipping the wine with it. And that's what I kind of teach how to taste. Like, people are just drinking wine and eating. No, there's a way to taste it and really understand those flavors and think about it. There's even books that you can get that you can write them down if you're not going to remember them, and saying, okay, when I had this one with this cheese, I really liked it. So over time, you can take your little book when you're at dinner and you're like, oh, okay, man, I want the freaking steak dinner today. What wine was good with that super meaty, salty meat that I had? What wine was good with that? Because it probably will be good with my steak also.
Yeah,
I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great idea because, like I said, like, there are a lot of African Americans that they just order, oh, give me a Moscato, because they think, and it's kind of like, I feel like you're not appreciating the wine. Like, you're not allowing the wine to really, it does take you somewhere else. And so when you're talking about like the South African wine and things like that, I never knew that existed, but I'm definitely going to look for it now, because it just, for me, wine is a story in a glass, and I appreciate it. And you can tell what kind of dirt it comes from by the body and the taste of the wine. And it's a personal thing, but it's also fun, and it can bring people together. But I think it's the best thing ever to teach about pairing with food, because it's something I've always wanted to learn. And sometimes when I go to these dinners and it's with executives and these are some big people, I tend not to get wine, because I don't know that wine's gonna go at my dinner. And even though I could play it off like, oh, I just love this wine, I love it, you could tell when someone doesn't know. They may like wine.
I can give you a trick for that. You can go, I'm gonna ask the waiter. Say, first you ask the waiter, do they have a sommelier here? That's gonna make you next level. Do you have a sommelier here? Most places are gonna say no, they don't have them, unless it's like super fancy places have them. But ask anyways. If you at Chili's, ask for them, because it gives a little like, oh, she kind of knows, and they'll perk up. Then you go, so you have to know what you're gonna eat. I'm gonna have the lamb today. Do you have any suggestions on a good pairing for that? Now it takes you out of the rim. They're going to give you 3 suggestions. Will they be the actual right suggestions? Probably not. Who knows? But now you have these 3 suggestions. From those 3 suggestions, you go, okay, in the past, what have I liked? So, like, if he gives you a Riesling, a Merlot, and a Chardonnay, I know that I don't like the Merlot or the Chardonnay. So out of those 3 suggestions, I know that I probably will like the Riesling, and he told me that it will match with it. So that kind of gives you a trick around it. Of like, a lot of this process is asking questions, and we're afraid to do that in front of other people. But I'm gonna give you a hint: the people that you're around, they don't know either. They don't know. They don't know either. They're gonna do the same thing. They're not gonna know either, because there's so many wines. There's no way for people to know, unless you're a master sommelier. What I told y'all earlier is probably one of the hardest tests. It's harder than even passing the bar. It's one of the hardest tests you can take. Unless you're one of those, which I think there's only like 30 in the world. Like, when I tell you it's super hard to get, like, it's not a lot in the world that pass that test. Wow. And so most people don't know, like, but most people fake it till they make it.
Well, I'm good at that, because I be faking it at the dinner, because I be really upset. But it's just the thing for me. It's like, I enjoy wine, like, and wine does start conversations. And when you're the only brown girl at a table with old money and executives, and you already, you just have to, like, I can give my personality, but yet I still am firm and fair and consistent. I'm at this table for a reason. And so I just always want to put my best foot forward for myself. It doesn't matter what they think about it, but when I leave, I just want to be like, oh, that was good, I did that. And so when it comes to wine, it's so personal because I do enjoy it, and I feel like wine has to be respected. And I don't think people respect it because they don't really know enough about it. But I'm excited about that, and it's something that, you know,
I agree. And the thing that I like about it is, I mean, the wine is great, and I do want to learn more about wine, but the way that you guys are about wine, and I guess because I'm a brother on the other end of it, and I'm walking in the room with other men and stuff like that, it's not the wine that they focus on. I know whiskey and cigars better than I know wine. I can put a whiskey with a certain cigar. This whiskey has a little bit more spice to it, so you want to do a Macanudo with this one, or you want to do that with that one. And then when you get in the room with other men, and then you actually start talking cigars and whiskeys and stuff like that, different whiskeys, different bourbons, the whiskeys, the bourbons, and the beer, I got it. Hands down, I got that on lock. Oh, and the tequilas. The tequilas are also a huge one too. But, you know, to hear you actually say that, you know, a brown girl sitting at the table with other people and in the wine, you would probably blow their mind, you know, because you asked for a sommelier. I never thought about that. Just asking
just asking
sommelier,
for it.
you know, to
knowing how to say that word and asking
that's
for it is a big, like, I've impressed so many people just by asking, and I knew they weren't in the room. Like, you could tell there's not any in there. I clearly knew there wasn't any at that restaurant, but I asked anyways, and it impressed the waiter, and it made the people that were in the room pay attention. And so when I started talking about it, all I did was ask for it. You know, okay, you don't have one, so now you give the opportunity for the waiter to impress, and they're going to try to impress, and so they'll try to pair with you, or they'll go to somebody and ask about it. Like, they'll try to find the right answer because they think I know what I'm talking about because I asked for a sommelier.
And that's the thing, like, you know, being I've always kind of been in male dominant roles as far as my career, so I've had to learn, you know, like, about cigars and about you know, the browns to pair it with, and even some cigars taste to me better with wine because it got that smoky grit to it and a nice body of wine. And sometimes, depending on how sweet the cigar is, a dry wine is like a happy marriage. And so I've had, you know, you start talking about kind of things and people pay attention. They're like, wow, you know about that? And they start to listen about the business side of it as well, because now you got that respect on a different level. And so I'm impressed by it, and it's definitely something I would invest in because it's something that, for me, it's a personal journey. I love it. Like, when you love something and you want to be treated right, you educate yourself, and that's the type of person I am, because it's just a good way to show other Black people that wine is. There's something to it, just like a nice rose Cuban cigar. Like, you gotta put respect to that, and wine is in that same arena. And I think that we probably don't give it that much respect because they don't know about it. So what you're doing is very needed, and it's going to impress a lot of people. Because I know my nephew, my son, and we will go to a vineyard because we really appreciate the wine. And so for this, I can't wait till you get this going, so that I know that we will be definitely paying attention and participating into that, because that's something for us. It brings us together. We enjoy it. We make memories. And this right here, I would love to have them come to a pairing to learn something. That's dope.
And
let us know when you get about 30 or 40 acres, because we want to invest.
Definitely, I'm super excited about. So the grapes were just like, oh, I'm gonna plant it and see what happens. And the first year, you know, grapes kind of grow, and then they like die. It takes them a couple of years. It normally takes like 3 years. It took me about 1.5 years to start fruiting, and that's because I took care of the soil, which is a whole nother place that we can go about valuing your soil and the lessons that I learned in gardening. But I'm super excited about the lessons that I will learn about wine once I start making it. Like, I feel like there's some intricacies to it that will enhance how I see wine when I'm on the other side of it. And so I'm super excited about making my first wine, to see the process, and then see how to add different things to it. I love that idea of it, and so we shall see. Probably in a month or so, I'm going to start pulling those grapes off of those and try to make some wine. I probably have enough to make one bottle of wine, I think now. But really, like, even just putting the right things in it. What I would do is, like, if I had any kind of like shells, if I had any kind of like peels, anything organic that I would normally throw away, I threw in my garden, and I feel like that's what brought so much the richness of it. And I'm curious. I started being more intentional about what I put underneath. I put only fruits underneath my or fruit peels underneath my grapes, and I'm curious to see what that does to the flavoring of the wine. And that's why I say, like, I can tell you all day long this, but what we put in our soil makes the wine taste different. That's why different regions taste different.
Yep. And you're right. And I remember my grandmother used to do the same thing. She would put like different like pumpkin seeds and pumpkin in the grass when she would grow different grapes, because when she would make jams. And some of the jams that she would make, we really didn't know what it was, because it had, I mean, you would pick up different flavors. It was just like the best thing. But she wouldn't have a lot of it because, the other grapes had to be properly done so that she could make that type of jam. But she would just experiment with it. And I used to be like, why is she doing that pumpkin in there? But it gave it like a different taste. Like, instead of like, because when you make like certain grapes at home, like the green grapes, they can be a little tart. But when she would use like pumpkin seeds and like she would smash up the seeds from like a plum, she would stick it all in there, and she would just massage that dirt, and that she catered to that because she wanted to see if the colors changed, like what it would do. When to pick it was important. And so I definitely loved to see your vine. I was like, wow, those are pretty grapes. Like,
I made some jam with my first.
Amazing.
I pulled some because they were ready early, and I made some jam out of it. So like, I'm already starting to utilize. I just love eating from things that I actually grew myself. Like, that's just another. It's not another feeling to understand that what I'm putting in my body is something that I planted. I can pull carrots out of my garden. I can pull freaking like my herbs, instead of go buying the herbs from the store. Just pull them out my garden and clean them and cook them right away. My daughter's birthday is tomorrow, and her she wants ratatouille, and it's part of the ingredients I can pull from my garden. Like, I love that it feels purer. Like, I know what I'm putting into my body. We always talk about what we put in our body and reading labels. I don't have to read a label. It's there. I grew it myself. And so that was a whole nother spiritual journey that was on accident. It was, I just went out to like grow some food because I didn't want to pay for it in the grocery store. But it turned into such a spiritual journey. I literally just go out in the back barefooted and put my feet in the dirt. Like, I love being in that little space. Like, it just grounds me so much. For me to be able to take on the rest of the world, I just got to be grounded in my garden. And even pulling I thought I was going to be mad about pulling weeds and all that stuff. All that stuff, like, when I pull the weed, I literally am like manifesting pulling weeds out of my life. Like, that's how much I've been connected to my garden. I tell everybody, like, go grow something. Like, go. And I used to suck at growing stuff. Like, this is a whole journey for me. I used to kill everything. Like, I used to kill like everything but a cactus. I didn't kill. I used to try to kill everything, but I realized that I wasn't putting in the effort, the time, and the nutrients that the garden needed. I wasn't giving it the care that it needed. And that manifests in our life also. If we don't give things the care and the nutrients and everything that it did, we don't pick the weeds out of it, they tend to die. But if the things that we take care of and actually like maintain and make sure that it's in the right spot and has enough sun and has enough nutrients, we take those weeds out of there. We don't crowd it. We give it room for it to grow. We give it tools to grow in certain spots. All those things are in our regular life. If we do that with our regular life, we would get so much further in life. And gardening really taught me a lot of lessons. Like I said, I didn't realize it was going to teach me those lessons, but it taught me a lot of lessons about where I can be in life and how I can take care of my own like life and energies around me.
I know Radio and I talk about that all the time, about planting gardens and what that means for us, because like where we're from in the South, in Tennessee, like I'm from Tennessee and I'm in Tennessee now, but he's from Arkansas. Like that was bad. It was community, especially with my family. We had a community garden, and so you could pick whatever you wanted. You just had to give seeds back so we could replant. If someone got sick, you go to the garden, you go to the livestock farm, fill up their refrigerators. And so, and that's something that he and I talk about all the time. And I'm like, I just want a garden. I just got to do it because I just got to sit on myself. I just feel like it'll sometimes getting in the dirt washes your soul clean.
Yeah.
And so I never understood that when my grandma used to say it, but I get it now.
You touched my heart. You touched my heart when you said just go outside and put your feet in the dirt. Oh, I was just like, yes, I used to do that all the time. I can't do that in Louisiana, not in this swampland. I just can't do it. I don't trust it at all. But here's the $1 million question. Now, with the type of grapes that you're growing right now, what type of wine are you going to make? That's what I'm curious about.
I have no clue because I didn't even know what type of grapes that I grew. I have no clue what type of grapes that are in my garden. Like I said, when I started this, it was just, I was throwing stuff in there. I was just like, I got potatoes now because my potatoes went bad in my pantry and I threw it in the garden. Like, it was no rhyme or reason behind it. And that was another lesson that taught me, like, sometimes we think that we have to have it all together in order to be successful. I started my garden in chaos. And as I went, I realized that this chaotic moment could be solved if I did this. So now I started doing this thing so I can stop that chaotic moment. Then something else chaotic came, and I'm like, well, if I do this, that chaotic moment, and then it turns into this beautiful garden. But it started in chaos. I literally was just throwing seeds everywhere. I didn't know where it was supposed to go. I didn't do no research. I just had regular dirt. I didn't do none of that happened, and I was all like, okay, so like we got to stop that. And I laugh, and this is a joke that I tell with my daughter, is I was like, we got to start living like rich white men and have their audacity. And so I say it kind of as a joke, but it sounds like it's a negative thing, but rich white men have the audacity to try things that they're not successful in yet. Like, we as minorities and as women, we are taught to get perfect at the thing and then go after it. But rich white men, they are taught, go after the thing and then figure it out when you get there. And so we've been talking about it for a couple of years now, of like, we're going to have that audacity to like be bold enough to go after those things and try things and be willing to like fall and be willing to have to adjust and not have it perfect before we start anything. And ever since I've been doing that, that's how this journey of being a rich auntie happened. Was I just started living life like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try it, and then if I mess up, have I messed up? Absolutely. But have I messed up to the point where I couldn't do it again? No. It was just a little mess up, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to adjust. We got to be willing to do that and jump out on a limb. And I don't know where I lost it. I had it when I was trying to go for the Olympics, but at some point, like, adulthood just made me lose it. And I was like, I'm not going to lose this anymore. It was probably like 5 years ago. I was like, it's time for me to get back to like dreaming big. I used to live off the motto, if you shoot for the sun, you at least reach the moon. And so I'm back to that. Like, I'm shooting for the sun. If I fail at the moon, I still succeeded. I still got to the moon. Like, so we need to shoot big and be okay with failing, because failing sometimes looks like success from the outside looking in.
Woo, baby, I can't wait for this book.
Rich white men are not scared to fail.
Not.
Number one, they have security. And then number two, just before they even get rich, they're not scared to fail, because they're just going to go out there and they're going to do it anyway. But they're not scared to fail because, number one, they're rich, so they have security. They're not worried about that. Once you become an adult, you start getting complacent, and then you feel secure in it. It's easy for you to get it, but it's so easy for you to lose it. So then you start worrying about stuff and this, that, and the other. And then that fear or that thought of loss comes into play, and then you don't want to do it anymore. And then you start playing it safe. You start dialing back. Like, nah, I don't need to do that, because if I do that, I'm going to lose this. And if I lose this, then this ain't going to happen. when you just gotta just, the uh, our third co-host, the bucket. You just gotta bring the bucket into it, and then and just go with it. Just to be honest, we call it the fuck it bucket. So you have to go with the fuck it bucket and just drop it in there and go that route with it. But that's a wonderful motto. And, that I was just curious because you know so much about it. I thought you actually knew the grapes that was actually growing, but I'm still wanting to taste the experiment of whenever you come with a bottle of wine, even if it's just like a small bottle. I'll take
Yeah, so I actually, I did a they had the Advent calendar, like wine one, and they had a cheese one, and so I was trying to do 12 days, do the whole, no, it was like 24 days of like cheese and wine, and I would randomly like pick the number. I didn't make it through the whole thing. That was a lot of wine to be drinking every day. I didn't realize that I would be drinking a glass of wine a day, and until I was like 8 days in, I was like, okay, I don't think my liver's gonna like this. Let me stop. So I have a bunch of those wines still left, the little bottles that I probably will like pour out or figure something out, cook with it or something, and I can fill those little bottles up. But yeah, I didn't make it. I made it about halfway through and was like, this is a lot. I don't need to be drinking this much wine.
Yeah, the ones that you don't feel, just send them home.
The story, the message, just your passion about the wine is inspiring. I definitely, like, it resonates with me on so many levels because I definitely am always, Reddy and we talk a lot about it. I sit at tables and I go into different rooms and I have to hold my own. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to be Monica and I'm just going to be the Black woman in this room and I'm going to hold my own, because what I'm not going to do is like dumb myself down or taper myself down, because I'm in here for a reason. So just getting that back though, because as a mom, I think as Black women, as Black women, I feel like life hits us in different ways because we're a mom, we are wives, we go through divorces, we, friends, and then we have to, just life happens so rapidly, and to the point that sometimes when you're the strong one of the group, you take the most hits, and so you have to find that outlet. Yeah. But I definitely have started to come into my own as well. All the pain and the different cuts and bruises and situations have prepared me for where I see my life going now. Yeah. So your story just makes me excited, and I cannot wait to read the book. And I've been telling Ray, I was like, oh my gosh, so she's gonna do it. I'm so excited because she's so fascinating. I'm so fascinated with her, just to hear her speak on different panels and the way she carries herself, and she's funny and she doesn't take herself too serious. And then when I found out you were in Taekwondo, I was just like, dude, what?
It's so funny because I joke all the time. People are like, oh yeah, you got a lot of followers because of Taekwondo. I said, it has nothing to do. You know what, my first video that went viral was because I was living in a smaller apartment and I wanted a hot tub, but I didn't want to spend $500. So I made a hot tub. I pieced together I went and bought a pool from Walmart, and then I got a little heater apparatus and little bubbles. I pieced together with about $150 a hot tub, and I did put it in my back, it was a porch, my back porch at my apartment. I had a full hot tub and a she shed with all my stuff in the back. That went viral. Nothing about Taekwondo, nothing about Olympics. Me living life, and that's when I realized my niche is just showing people living life. When I tell y'all I have a good time with myself, people think I'm just kidding. I'm about to go downstairs right now and make me a drink. I made my space where I have a full bar downstairs with freaking smoke guns, and I can make smoke bubbles and ice that got glitter in it and all that stuff. I be in my house having a great time with myself, and I had to learn to have a great time with myself, because whoever comes in here just gets to have a great time with me. That's already set up. And so learning how to have a great time with yourself and really giving yourself that space. I'm blessed to have I'm an empty nester now, but I'm blessed to always have a child that gave me my space. I think I taught her super early. After work, I would tell her, give me 30 minutes to an hour. I need 30 minutes to an hour, and then you can unload your whole day on me. And teaching her that early gave me the space to have that peaceful moment, whether it's just watching YouTube videos or listening to the radio or eating my dinner without being interrupted. But we have to carve in that space. And I feel like we've been taught that that's selfish, and it's not, it's needed. And our kids will be better off. My daughter's doing excellent. And that 30 minutes to an hour every day did not cause her to resent me or any of that stuff, but it made it so that when I did have the conversations with her, when I did give her space to unload, I was there to be there completely. And we don't give our kids completely because we're trying to give our kids too much. And so we got to make sure that we give. It's better for us to give them a complete peaceful self than just giving them all of yourself, because that's not going to work out like the way we think it does.
Yeah, I'm a mom of 4, so I was like, y'all have friends, y'all each other friends, like y'all should go, and that was something that like my kids knew, like I need to decompress because mommy goes to work, mommy comes home, cooks, mommy makes sure y'all eat, get your clothes out, all that. Just give mommy a tub time. And my kids, they will be quiet, but they be sitting right outside the door. They just like counting down the moment, like
yeah,
she's gonna be upset. But I would let them individually come and sit at the foot of my bed, and it's like, so what do you want to talk about? Like, how are you feeling? Like, what did you do at school? Yeah. Like, just different things. And so my kids are very self-sufficient. My kids are very, we went through a very, trying time in life at one point, but they picked themselves up and they did not fold. And so to see their strength, I know I poured that into them. And so to understand the fact that, we are taught that if you don't give your kids all this attention, oh, you're being selfish, or oh, you're this, or that. But I honestly feel like doing it the way I done, like my kids understood boundaries. And so that was needed. And they needed to learn that lesson, just like they needed to learn how to cook and do their laundry. And if my daughters can take out trash, my son take out trash. If they can wash dishes, he also got to learn to wash dishes. Everybody, let's go outside and learn how to change the oil in the car. Because you never know what life may place you. And one thing as a parent, I felt my biggest responsibility was to make sure that they knew who they were, that their feelings were valid, they had a voice, humble themselves, and know how to do it for themselves without depending on someone else, because they may disappoint you.
Yeah.
So to see them thriving now, I'm very proud of them. Just want my money back because, college and
facts.
You know what I'm saying? I put a lot of time in that. And got bills and invoices.
I need her to take care of me when I'm old, man.
I am old.
I want my back rent. I want my back rent right now.
No, I just need a place. Just send me on a cruise. So. Like, just send me on trips. Just once a month, send me on a trip. I'll be out your way.
I have 4 kids, so they can just come. They can come together.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I only got the one.
I'm not gonna ask who put it in the
I only got the one, so she gonna have to make something of herself.
So as a mom, and I know you talked to your daughter about the Olympics, your goals, do you see the pride in her when she's like, "That's my mom"?
She does. She brags on me all the time. And it's super embarrassing. I actually was like, people say they're the cool mom, but I actually was one of the cool moms, like her friends. But it wasn't just the Olympics; it was our relationship that we had. How we communicated with each other. I'm not the mom that's gonna be naive to the fact that at 19, when you're in college, you're drinking alcohol. Like, I'm not gonna act like I don't know that exists. Like, and have those real conversations about safety of that and what that looks like and what you should do and why you shouldn't do it. So she's proud of me as a person, and I like that much better. I think at one point she thought she had to live up to who I am, but we had conversations about her not having that. She's her own person now, but she definitely is proud of who I am, and I'm glad that I can be more than just the Olympian to her, but to be an actual role model of somebody that she would want to be.
That is amazing because, that is very important. I know for me as a mom, going from, being a retired officer to working in healthcare, and all my kids, I made them start writing their goals out in 6th grade. And then once they graduated for the first time in college, I would present it to them in a picture frame, because I want them to see, like, you saw what you wanted for your life that age, and you had goals and you met them, and look where you are now. And so when they found out that, oh, Mom, you're doing a podcast, they were so excited, because they knew that was something that I've always wanted to do, because I love giving people their flowers, and I love educating our people, and I love just showing my daughters and showing my son, and now my granddaughter and my grandson, that, you know, it doesn't matter how many times you fall, it's about how you get up and how you maintain a good heart, and just know that it's bigger than you, and where you can be anything in this world, being kind is free. So it doesn't matter what's happened to you. Somebody else could be having a really bad day, and just pick it up and be you. You don't have to be anybody else. So to hear that relationship is needed in our community, because we do have a lot of parents, we have a lot of kids, they don't know how to, like, not just be the parent. You're like, you have to humble yourself, I feel like, with your kids, and get on that level, because as they get older, you know, they start changing, but they always know where mom is. They always know to get that advice, not just as mom, but on a level of respect, because you got to respect them. And I can say this, like, with radio, him and his daughter's relationship is the cutest thing, because they are truly best friends. Like, you can just see that her and her dad are really good friends. And I think that, you know, I tell him, like, he needs to tell people about that, because we have a lot of fathers that they don't know how to cross that over with the girls. And his relationship with his daughter is beautiful. And I'm always like, no, we're going to talk about it. He was like, I mean, that's my best friend. And he beams, and to hear them talking, like, you can tell she's proud in her own little voice, and they have their own little language, and it's so cute. And he doesn't, like, just talk to her like a little girl. He talks to her like she's a person. He lets her know, he pours into her. And then you just hear that how much she loves her dad. And so your story with your daughter as well is something that needs to be heard in our community, because it's not taught. It's about trial and error. But I feel like if you really want to grow, you'll listen to people that has the experience, and not see it as an envious thing. You see it as that. Let me take a little bit of that. Let me see if this will work for me. So I appreciate you for sharing, you know, because I know my kids are private to me. I only talk about them with people that I genuinely can be like, oh, you know, my kids doing this or they're doing that, and there's some mutual respect. Because I absolutely know, like, if it was me, I would just be beaming if it was like, my mom was in the freaking Olympics. She was in Taekwondo. My mom writing a book. She had a whole day dedicated to her. That's my
it didn't
giving back what we get.
It didn't happen until later, because I've been an Olympian her whole life. Like, I've been an Olympian just as much as I've been her mom, if that makes sense. Like, so what? Even my god kids, like one of my god kids didn't realize I was an Olympian, like, for real, until he was like 11. Like, because he knew, but he didn't know. Like, he didn't know what that meant in real life until he kind of, like, thought about it. He was like, wait a minute. And his mom was like, yeah, like, she won a silver medal. Like, he's like, those Olympics, like, that we're watching on TV? We're like, yes, like, those Olympics, like. And so, like, the people in my life didn't even realize that. But, like, it's funny enough, and we might can talk to this offline, is I do have a vision for having camps for moms and daughters, of having camps where if we have retreats for moms and daughters, you come to the retreat, you have conversations together, but also conversations separately, where my daughter will lead all the kids and I will lead all the adults, of having conversations and having these real conversations we're having now, of like, let's get down to the dirt. Like, you doing that hurts your daughter. Like, you not treating her like a human hurts your daughter. And my daughter really being honest with the younger one, saying, like, this is why your mom's feeling it. Because we've had these conversations, me and her, and I'm like, I wonder how much we can give that to other people, of navigating this mother-daughter. Of course, we're not perfect. We've bumped our heads and we've had our issues, but I think the thing that we've done well is always communicated what we needed. There was a point where, like, I'm not a big hugger. I'm not a lovey-dovey hug. I'm not touchy-feely like that. My daughter is. And so at one point, every time she came to hug with me, I would, like, push her away and be like, like, not right now. What my brain was saying, I don't feel like it anymore. Please go over there. What her brain was saying is, my mom doesn't want to have affection with me. This is my love language. She's not. So we had a conversation about it and understood that neither one of us were wrong or right. Both of us had to make compromises. So now we found a compromise where she knows she needs to come and get consent from me and saying, how are you feeling right now? Like, can I lay up underneath you? Can I hug you right now? And having that consent. And now it's become our norm where I give a little, where I'm doing this more, where I'm consenting more to loving and hugging. But she's also understanding that, like, this is something that is awkward for me. So I need to give her the space to come to it. And so that's just a little example of, like, I don't think we need to be perfect, but we need to be able to communicate those. Because a lot of times stuff like that, if we wouldn't have had that conversation by now, her being 19 now, it would have been a big thing. But we had a conversation when she was like 12, 13 years old. So now we were able to fix it over time. If we didn't have that conversation, she would have resentment that I don't love her. I would be like frustrated because she always is trying to hug me. That would still be the issue times 10. And so we really want to do that. I just don't know how to structure it. And I also do 1,000 things and I don't know when I'm going to have time to do it.
It is so crazy that we're sitting here having this conversation, because I have this conversation with radio all the time. I'm like, I just wish I could get a bunch of women together and do an expo, because mother and daughter, like, we got to build these gaps in these relationships, because people can step into the gap and be the wrong gap fillers between you and your daughter. And what needs to be known, we just did a show, a podcast, Have You Seen Us? And we were talking about missing brown and black kids, and just, you know, how you don't, it's so much to it. It's so many names and it's no coverage. Nobody remembers, talks about them. And it's very important that relationship, even if you're not the mom, but if you're the acting mom, that relationship is very, very valuable. Like, it has to happen. It has to be strong, because you're teaching your daughters sisterhood and how to be friends with females. And it's I just want to crush that narrative that black females cannot get along, because that is absolutely wrong. And I think it is something that is just spit out every chance somebody gets to open their mouth. They know it's a click thing. They know people are going to stop and listen to it. They don't mind about rousing it up. But my thing is, you're putting a false narrative on something that is very beautiful. Because one thing I will say, there is not a child in this world that would not gravitate to a black mom.
Facts.
But you don't see black kids gravitating towards any other race of moms.
Facts.
So we are Mother Earth. And I tell everybody that, because there are kids, little white kids walk up to me, little Asian kids walk up to me, and they just feel like they're safe. So we have got to give that same feeling back to our daughters, because that's where it, you know, if you can't take care of home, you can't be effective out there. And that relationship is so important. And I think that's a beautiful idea. I would love to talk to you about this afterwards, because I do know some people and I know how to get that. And that's something that Radio and I have definitely talked about. He's always like, you should write that in a book. And I'm like, I know, but I just want to do something like the relationships between women. We have got to stop this. And I'm always the black sheep on panels I get invited to, because I just shut down the narrative. But we're not going to be that. We're not that. We're not that experience. So let's stop talking about stuff that doesn't depict everybody that way. We've got to change that narrative. So your idea and your daughter, that is such a beautiful story, and it's so needed, and it's so it's real. And it's sad that a lot of people don't speak up, and it's sad that they don't even know that that's that important until it's too late.
Yeah.
You got to realize that your daughters, that women, they're people too. Just treat them like people. Just because that they female. I mean, my daughter will come out there with me. She'll crawl underneath the car. We'll change the oil, put new brakes on, all of that stuff. We ain't got no problem. Now, she ain't gonna want to get her nails messed up, so she got to put some gloves on. But she'll get out there and get it done, though. She ain't got no problem with that. But you know, just treat people like they're supposed to be treated. There doesn't have to be this, that, and the other. You know, black men versus black women and all of this stuff. All of that needs to end. I mean, we ain't never had that problem before. We taking on white people problems that we ain't had nothing to do with. That's their issues. That ain't never been our issue. And then as far as the black women sticking together, where I come from, the sisters stick together. I don't know where all of this new stuff came from as far as, women, black women, saying something about her over here, saying something about her over there. Yeah, that's just some messy stuff that they start for a second, but when it boils down to it, the sisters, they unite.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to their men and their kids.
I just think it's a false narrative, and I think that it's a false narrative that just has grew legs, and people. It's funny to hear men talk about it, and then it's just sad to see women talking about it because, it's a panel full of women.
Yeah,
it's a conference full of women. So if we could not get along, then why? It just. I don't mind being the only person that speaks out against the crowd because what I won't do is. I'm not pouring into no false narrative about what black women are or what our community, what it is, because I grew up with some very strong females and some very strong family and a village that poured into you. And that's what's missing now. And the sad part is, it's not the kids. It's the people that are in their 30s and 40s that are still trying to say that they got this little girl that's still hurt. She needs to grow up.
Yeah.
And you need to tell her to go to bed because you have to be in the right now. You cannot. I feel like a lot of times we get into a situation where our maturity age don't match our real age. And that has to change. And most of that is because they don't have a safe environment. They rather be in the negative because there's more in that number than to stand there and say, enough is enough. We got to do better. And we got to stop being that community that went at a funeral. That's when everybody's, we got to get together and do better. That shouldn't be where you had that conversation. And it shouldn't be the driving force of it. So the fact that you and your daughter have this beautiful idea, God gave y'all that vision because it's in y'all eyes and you see something wrong with that. And you are definitely a niche grabber. And so I will will rock with that till the wheels fall because it is needed in our community. And it's not just our community, but it will show other people in other communities that when women get together and act like women, it's a wrap.
Yeah, and you notice that all the things that I talk about or even my page, my focus is not on, you hardly ever hear me talk about men. Hardly ever.
Yep.
My focus is on women. Like, now, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not trying to teach no men, and I'm not trying to take down no men. Like, my job is not men. Men I tell men all the time, I will help you create a space, but I'm not going to create it for you. I'm teaching women how to create peace. I'm teaching women how to, grow and learn. I'm teaching women what women should do. Could men learn lessons from this? Absolutely. If you take from my garden video and you're able to make a garden, cool. But my content is specifically to talk to women, good, bad, or indifferent. I even my funny stuff. I did a video where I was all like, "This is a message for women," and I was all like, "Change your battery and your what's it call it, and clean your vent and change your vent, and check your tires." Like, I do things for women. It was a joke, but it was serious. Like, y'all needed a reminder to do all that stuff because we are bad about doing that stuff. My content is mostly to help women and to do that accountability that we don't say, but accountability doesn't have to look like punishment. And I think we've made accountability equal punishment. And I think accountability could be like, I'm going to show you. Like, first thing people see is I'm at peace. Then they go, how? And I'm showing you this is how, because I grow my own food and I make space for myself, and I buy things that are going to make me feel good. And I do things in the community, or I travel. These are the things that are doing these. These are things that I'm doing for self-improvement. I'm not bumping you over the head to say, go to therapy. I'm saying, I am going to therapy. This is how I got the peace. If you want to know how to get where I'm at, of course I'm not at the end of it, but if you like where I'm at, you want to know how I get there. There's 3 ways I did it. I made sure that I had my relationship with God. I found my peace in my own space, and I give back to others. That's what's creating the world that I'm in now. And so if you can follow those things in your own life, whatever that looks like, then you should be able to have a sense of the peace that I have in my life. And so I speak to women specifically because if I start doing this, telling men what to do, it becomes this men versus women, all that. I'm not doing that. I'm telling women, because I know how to be a woman. Women, this is what we need to do. Let the men figure out what they're going to do. It don't matter. If they doing horrible, women, this is what we going to do over here. They going to go over there and heal themselves. When we come together, we'll be healed together.
Yes. Beautiful.
I got the book on that. That's easy. If men just sit back and then see, here's the thing. Men that are listening at this particular podcast, take notes. If women are doing something to help teach women, shut up. Just sit back and listen, and you'll be surprised at what you pick up on. You say you don't understand how women work, you don't understand how women think, you don't understand how women can, get along and stuff like that. Watch something that she actually puts out and then just listen. And you'll be surprised what you learn. I mean, you get your game from women anyway. They the best at it. If you just sit back and listen at what they do and how they operate, look at how they move. The answers are all right there in front of you if you just pay attention. She's going to tell you everything you need to know. And maybe the way she even picks up, the way she chooses a wine, the way she might like her food to be done, the way that she might want to go put her feet in the earth. Watch her. Just watch her and just listen. And everything will come to pass. Don't make judgment. Don't say, well, I think you should do this or I think you should do that. No. Shut up. Listen. And it'll all come to you. It's real simple.
I definitely feel like sometimes though, it's sad, but people fall for distractions so easy. The okie doke, they fall for that distraction. People can unite, but hurt people. And if men need to heal, because it needs to be that brotherhood again, they need to have that space for themselves and be able to say, I'm holding us accountable. We are better than that. And in our community now, that word, ownership, accountability, has been weaponized because they feel like, well, if you got to take accountability and ownership, then you're the problem. And it's not that. So a lot of times in radio, he's always like, oh, here she goes. I tell women, you gotta, when you can sit in it and you can be good in your own skin, in your own space, and have peace with that, then you will start to see that you can give grace to people because you had to learn to give it to yourself. When you don't have that knowledge, you will become numb. And at the end of it, when you start to feel again, you got to look at the raw people that you hurt while you were walking in that numb space. Yeah. And sometimes it takes a sisterhood to get you out of that space. But people get distracted. People like to have crutches and excuses. And I can't sit there in that. I'm not going to be around women and let them sit there in that. If you want to grow, you have to crave it. You will go to where you need to go to get those type of things. I watch your page because I get ideas. I love the way you zen out, the vibe of it. And that's relaxing to me because I'm seeing someone I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, oh, wow, like this is dope and things like that. And I feel like we start to see that it can be done. That takes some of your self-doubt out about doing it yourself. Yeah. And so I think a lot of women, a lot of people in general, they're not comfortable sitting in it, and they're not comfortable with saying, I'm worth better. They're not comfortable with saying, I'm going to do better, because one, they already have the expectation that they're going to fail. No one's going to take them seriously. And I have learned that you have to not care about what other people think or say, because that's that distraction every time.
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier of women tend to want perfection before they move. Like, I just told you my first hot tub was a freaking Walmart pool and a heating apparatus that I bought that almost shocked me, that I bought at Walmart that didn't keep the water warm because I couldn't keep it in there while I was in there. Like, I didn't start off with the garden with the fire and I didn't start off with that. Like, I started off with a small little fire pit in my little backyard.
Baby, that hot tub making me think about that movie Hot Tub when they got shock film and they end up going back into
and I think we think we have to have the perfect, and I had to talk to my friend about this. She's all like, man, I love your little setup, and like when I do baths, I have all these like salts and oils and all that stuff. I just went to first. I started off at you can go to the dollar store and get the little dollar store stuff. I started off with that.
You better say
I
it.
started off with that. All these containers I had, I didn't go to the container store first. I used dollar store containers, and as I got more money, I upgraded. I just upgraded as I went. The things that I wanted, I upgraded as I went. I wanted to be more organized, and I did it a little bit, and I upgraded as I went. We try to do this like end goal and want the end of it. That's why a lot of people don't like that one TikToker lady that's like a housewife that be making stuff from scratch and all that stuff, because that seems unrealistic. But if you've worked your way to that, it might not be it's not unrealistic. I don't think anything, like people say things are unrealistic. I don't think anything is unrealistic. That might be a naivety of me. Nothing in my brain is unrealistic. Some things are just harder to get, but nothing's unrealistic. It could happen. Like even the thing that never happened before, everything never happened before until somebody did it. Nothing is unrealistic in my brain. Like if you could say anything. Oh, people can't fly. They might in the future. Like, I don't know. Like they could. Like, it's not unrealistic.
Exactly.
Is it really hard to do? Absolutely. Is it very untainable in our head? Yeah, sure. But unrealistic is not a word that I use in my vocabulary. Everything is realistic and can happen. You just got to be willing to do the work that requires it. Some things require less work than others.
Like the name of our show, Completely Yoked, came about because we were just talking about like what we're gonna name it. And I was like, we got to be complete with it. And we had played with, I was like, I don't want to touch the evenly yoked thing because, that has its own stand on it. And we're just talking about, and we just kept talking. I was like, it's got to be a complete thing. And he was like, yeah, yoked, right? And it was like, boom, you have to be completely yoked with everything in your life. Because if you're not, that's when you start to get distracted. That's when you start to be down on yourself. That's when you start making irrational decisions and like, I'll pay for it later. And we have got to come to a point where that has to stop, because there are little girls and there are sons that are looking at us. And for them, especially with this generation, they quick to be like, yeah, let me go ahead and find somebody, write them a prescription and put them in a nursing home, because that's crazy. And so I just definitely do. I do a lot of work on myself, and I do it for myself because I owe it to myself to be the happiest version of me. And that's off of my own grit. Radio and I talked a lot about being in a gap. And you got to be careful about who you put in the gap when you need somebody. And can you see yourself being able to not only keep going yourself, but be a gap filler? And I'm definitely one of those gap fillers. And in our relationship, in our business endeavors, like that's my gap person. And so when it's with my female friends that I'm starting to build this sisterhood with, fulfills me in such a way that it makes me want to be better and keep reaching for the highest version that I can get to for Monica. I don't know what that is. I just know it's way up there, and that's where I'm headed. And so to hear someone with such passion and so much knowledge and so humble, I'm very honored. Like I said, like I have been excited about this, and I think I've talked to Radio 1,000 times. Like, okay, so what am I going to say? I got to really get this together because I want to do her justice. Because what I see you do, I can see it in your eyes. I hear it when you talk on panels. I'm like, this lady is real. This is someone that you do say, I'm going to be her gap filler, because that right there, this is what we need to continue to see.
Yeah.
So I'm very honored. I'm very blessed. And thank you so much for like doing this, because to me, you way up there. And Radio was like, I was like, but she's so together. I just got to tell her story. Like, I just got to talk to her. Like, she's got so much richness about her. And I was like, have you seen her page? He's like, yeah, I've seen her page.
No, I appreciate y'all. I'm in a personal journey right now with writing this book. I was always not good in English. So writing this book has been a struggle. And people keep saying, oh, you can get a ghostwriter. I'm like, no. Part of the journey is I got to write it. I have to do it. I have to figure it out myself.
You don't need a ghostwriter. You don't need a ghostwriter. You need an
Well,
editor.
I got
That's all
that
you
too,
need.
but like just getting
Yeah.
the it. I'm a talker. I can talk to you all day long, but getting it on, like writing it down, has always been a struggle with me. But I have to do it, and I have to give my time, the space, and the grace to do it and get it all the way out. And what? But I say that to say this is kind of the start of. I got asked for another interview earlier today, and I said I want to do post book interviews, and then I'm actually going to be a keynote speaker in a couple of months to an event, a women's event, here in Houston.
You gotta do it.
Yeah, so I all these things are coming at the right time, and that's motivating me to say I have this is pre-book of me getting everybody ready for the book, and so this time next year we'll be getting ready for the launch of the book, and then coming back to these spaces that I'm kind of in now, and saying, okay, I want to come back to these spaces and see what a year made after writing the book, and really
Wow.
helping people, promoting the book, and helping people understand the purpose of the book, which I don't even have yet. Right now, I'm just writing out my story now, but I know the purpose is going to come out of it, and being able to speak on that is going to be good. So this is kind of a start. Y'all have started a start of a journey y'all didn't even know y'all were a part of the start of, and so I said I was going to get myself back out there, and do more interviews and do all that stuff. And so you reaching out to me was my sign to be like, okay, it's time. It's time to do it.
You just gave her so many gold stars. You just made her day. I'm telling you, she is like over the moon right now. And I think I have a program for you, since you said that you're
Oh
a
yeah.
talker. There's a program that you can actually have your microphone like you have it right now, plug it into your computer, and then speak it, and then it will type the paragraph out
Oh,
for
okay.
you. And then any grammatical errors or anything like that that needs to be made, your editor can take
Yeah.
care of that. But if getting the story down on paper is a problem, I think it's called Dragon or something like that. Give me a week. Let me double check and see if I still have that program, and I'll
Okay.
email it to you. And then you can load that program up, and then all you have to do is speak into a microphone, and then boom, 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 boom. The whole paragraph will set
Nice,
itself up.
nice.
Yeah, see, he didn't tell me that because he's always telling me, you just gotta tell your story. You gonna hit some people like, yeah, he didn't tell me nothing about that. Because I said the same thing. I don't think I can sit down and write. And I'm like, I don't think there was anything like, yeah. He's just like,
I mean, the way that you research, and then the way that you put stuff together, and then your questions and all of that stuff, you can write. You just don't like to. You can do it.
Yeah.
I'll send you the program too.
I don't have, but my thing is like, I'm a gap filler, and I know that, and I love that about myself. I definitely an open book, but to hear people that I actually just like, man, that is so fascinating. Like I just want her give her flowers because this deserves to have some recognition. And I know we just getting started, but when I say I be pushing, pushing, I know this is going to be bigger than what it is because it's not for me. It's not for fame. It is to help people.
Yeah.
And so to have you on here, like I said, like you have poured into this podcast, you have poured into me. I feel very honored, and I'm just over the moon to hear someone else with just that grit. Like I when I hear you and see, I see myself, and that's what this podcast is about. We want people to be able to see themselves and be better. Like take my failures or take how I got back up and keep yourself from falling, or, or just speak up about it and let someone help you because people would, genuinely want to help people. People want to help. It's just they don't want to be in the mess of it.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're writing this book, the fact that you are telling a story, the fact that you are doing these interviews is showing that you are just trying to do what God has put you on this earth to do. And that is to be a vessel, to use your own experiences to hopefully inspire and help someone else. And that is beautiful and such a role model, not just to your daughter, but to every Black woman that is trying to do the same thing or maybe struggling. You're a great role model for that. And I just am like fanning right now.
I appreciate you. I really do. Like, I think everything happens for a reason.
Not a problem
It's
at
for
all.
its own time. So
Is-
I'm excited.
Not to hold you any longer than necessary, is there any websites, Instagram, Facebook? How can people reach out and actually see what you're doing besides the usual TikToks and all of that stuff. Is there anything that you, because we'd like to have it and make sure you get it a little bit, and then we'll try to make sure that we put it onto the final product as far as the podcast and stuff like that. Is there, how can people see you?
It's right now mostly through my social media, so you can follow me on Facebook. I'm the only Nia Nicole Abdallah Duhart on there. And there's a story behind that. I took my stepdad's name and hyphenated it as an adult because he was the father for me. But that's a whole nother story right there. But yeah, Nia Nicole Abdallah Duhart on Facebook, the real Nia Nicole Abdallah the real Nia Abdallah on Instagram, and then Auntie Olympic on TikTok. I probably should consolidate that and be called everything everywhere now that you said it.
Right. I was just making sure that there wasn't.
Yeah.
I was just making
But
sure there
baby,
wasn't a
she's
big tree.
Googleable. She got a Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It's all right.
And
there.
I love that you're using the
all
word
right.
Googleable. Like I am on a mission to get Googleable in the dictionary because I feel like there needs to be a word that means able to be Googled. Googleable is the name. I've been using it for
I got all
years.
kind of words for the dictionary.
I've been using it for years because if the way it gets in the dictionary, if enough people use it, it gets in the dictionary. And so I don't even care if I get credit for it, but I am trying to spread that word. So please use Googleable so it can be in the dictionary.
I got you.
She's already had 5 phrases stolen from people that they use it. Because like the main one that I don't know whether it's licensed or not, but the one that has been stolen, and I've heard her say it, but then I never really noticed anybody else saying it. But then all of a sudden I'm looking around and everybody's saying it. They're talking about, yeah, man, life be life. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. A little bit said that. Oh God, don't tell me they stole it. I mean, and it's just amazing how, just simple phrases can do that. And I just wanted to make sure you didn't have a link tree or anything.
I need to work on. I do have a Discord too. You can send me a message to get in my Discord. I don't do a lot in my Discord yet, but I want to. I want that to be a space for people to go into. I created it for that space, but I need to do a better job about promoting it. And actually posting in it. But if you want to be a part of the Discord, that'd be a way we can have conversations. You can ask me questions, anything if you want to be in kind of this community as it grows. Like I said, nothing. I don't have all the answers, but I know that we can get there.
Double check on my main page, Mr. Radio 100. I think there's a Black Girl Book Talk.
Okay.
And because I'm in the narration space, voiceover space, and there's a lot of Black women authors out there, and they are definitely on Discord, and I think you would fit right in the room.
Nice. I'll find them.
We definitely are going to promote everything that you do. So definitely I'm already following you. I'm so glad that we got you at the peak of this journey of helping people grow and just stretch, and you're using your own story to do it. And we definitely will be following you. I will be buying your products. We're definitely going to promote it. You have a true beautiful story, and it's just not one of being a Black woman, but it's one of being a leader and understanding your place. And so for that, it's worth not only promoting and always telling people about it. It's really life-changing for some people, especially right now when there's not a lot of great role models. So you're taking on this role and it's on your shoulders, and I know that God has built you for this moment.
Absolutely.
And so for us to be having this conversation, like, great things are going to happen for you. And I'm just glad that we're going to be there with you every step of the way, because we're definitely going to support.
Yeah, appreciate it. Like I said, it's the right timing, perfect timing for it. Like I said, my daughter's birthday is tomorrow. This was the perfect day for it, and just a perfect moment of where I am trying to. It's time. God has pushed me, and He keeps nudging me, and I'm finally ready to get up to do the things that He requires of me. He gave me all this. He blessed me with a lot of things. Now I have the space to build on that and see how my small gift, which I'm going to call the Olympics a small gift, can make a big difference in the world in the grand scheme of things.
Beautiful story, and such a beautiful woman. I'm so excited for you, and it's just going to be, when you're doing what you're supposed to do, you already see yourself 5 steps ahead, and you know that people are going to follow.
Yeah.
And we need strong leaders, especially right now and in our communities. We need unity. We need to come together. So to be in that space, to be here and hearing it firsthand is an honor. And like I said, most definitely, anytime that you want to come on here, you could just shoot me a email or whatever it is.
Sure.
Who out the window.
Yeah. Hey, and if you want to learn how to be a rich auntie, follow me on TikTok. We have fun on TikTok, and we rich aunties in this joint. Even if you married, even if you're not an auntie. Fun fact, I am not an auntie in real life. My sister has 0 kids, but I'm a rich auntie in these TikTok streets. So if you want to be a rich auntie with us, and that's rich in everything, please come join us. We literally just have fun. And you can learn some new recipes and watch me make wine and watch me draw up my fantastical baths and all those things. And you can do it too and join us.
I definitely will be joining that because I believe in sisterhood. My prayer going forward now has been definitely, I will be around people that like-minded with, that I can grow from and they can grow with me, and we just grow together and start changing the narrative and start making some people see positivity, because there's so much distraction out there in that world, and that's just not what we are here to do.
Absolutely.
You are a leader, so therefore you know that you're not always be happy, but you know you're going to make a difference. And so Completely Yoked is very proud and very humbled and thankful for you being here. I know your daughter's birthday is tomorrow, and I'm so glad that I named this show Such a Time as This, because it really fit.
Absolutely. It did.
It really fit.
Perfect.
And so it was right. Like I pray about my shows before I get them done, and I know it goes straight to the person. And so without my co-host holding it down, and I know he works hours and hours trying to make sure that we get the best stuff, because we want to make sure that we do justice to the people that brace, just say, yeah, I'll do it. We thank you from all our hearts, and we definitely will always make sure that you're always shining in a great light, and we will always be here. You got family now. So we're just really honored. We're going to wrap this up because I know you got to get ready for your daughter's birthday. You got some writing probably to do and some wine to make and some content to create. Yeah, so Radio, do you have anything that you want to finish up?
And prep ratatouille.
So Radio, do you have anything else?
No, just thank you again.
No.
You were saying him, but thank you again from me. I just want to thank y'all for allowing me to be on here. I don't take it for granted. Every moment I have to talk to people is a special moment. And if it changes one person, then I'm happy. So I appreciate y'all. Appreciate the work that you're doing, are going to do with the editing and all the other processing of this, and then just the work that you're doing in the community, trying to bring positivity. So I'm happy that I got to be on this interview today.
I'm just so honored.
Not a problem.
And the things that we always
so glad to have
you. Yes, we are so. I feel we're blessed to have the people that we've had. Everybody has really just been loving and kind and so supportive. And our main goal is just to shine a different light on our community and give people their flowers and educate and get resources and inspiration. So you bring all of that to the table, just like our past guests have. And as we wrap this up, one thing that I always say to everybody is we will talk to you in a couple of hours, and everybody stay safe and be blessed.
Thank you for listening to the Completely Yoked podcast with Little Bit Bougie and Mr. Radio 100.